Afternoon, good evening, good morning, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed and share with you my thoughts, if any, on those headlines based on me just having read the headline or me being an expert on the subject or something in between. Maybe I read the article, maybe I skimmed the article, maybe I read the paragraph out. I'm just going to read you the headlines. Let us proceed. It's not news. It's just my notes on the news. Skeletons found on ghost ship washed up in Japan. So these ghost ships are not all that uncommon. I think they say that, I guess maybe because there's a food shortage in North Korea, but they have a lot of people who are out fishing the waters who are North Korean. And, so a ghost ship, I guess the people have made their transition. So some of the people are like skeletons and stuff. They don't know how long they've been out there just floating around, sailing around. So another ghost ship washed up on the shore of Japan here recently. And not too long ago, I think last week, maybe there were 8 sailors who showed up in Japan. They say they were out fishing and they got lost. So I was kind of surprised because when I saw that story last week, I was thinking, these are people who are trying to be defectors. But I think they say Japan send the people back to North Korea. But this article is like they push a lot of people out there to go look for food. So I don't really know. And then I wonder too, like when you were an enslaved African and you were trying to escape, maybe it might be hard to get good information. Like maybe they don't know that if they go to Japan, they're going to get sent back. Or maybe they think they're not going to go to Japan, but they're going to go to South Korea. How do you get information about where to go if you want to be free? I don't know if they feel like they're caught in North Korea, like they can't go anyplace else. Or if they like being in North Korea. It doesn't sound like a place that I would like to be. I don't know if anyone would like. I don't think anybody but a dictator likes being in a dictatorship. I'm not saying that North Korea is a dictatorship because I don't really know. But, when you were enslaved, I wonder, if when we were enslaved or, even as a prisoner, like, the quality of education and information and how do you know where to go and who to talk to and how do you figure things out in order to get to quote unquote freedom. And where is freedom? Where is freedom? Give us free. Pamplona wolf pack. Pamplona is a place in Spain, right? Gang rape trial angers Spain. Pamplona. So the part of what has angered some people in Spain, I'm sure it hasn't angered other people, is that this group of, I think it's like 5 men are accused of raping a woman. They're on trial for it. And the judge is allowing information about the woman to be presented in the trial, like her sexual history, like how they put the victim on trial. They putting her on trial, but they're not allowing certain information for the young men to be a part of the trial. Now, they're the ones who are being tried, and the men, I don't know if they're young men or not. I figure they're young men because of the shit they texting each other back and forth talking about, when we get to wherever, we gonna be raping up everybody we see. And make sure you get the date rape drugs or whatever foolish, dumb shit they talking about. The judge is not allowing that to be admitted into evidence for the people, the jury to consider in terms of whether they're rapists or not. So there are people in this who are upset about it. It's like all over the world, right? I mean, it's not just in America where there's this foolish BS stuff. Is all over the world with this foolishness, anti-woman, rich white men with property and power. Everything, so many things, I shouldn't say everything, but so many things appear to be for them and about protecting them and about making their lives better, more comfortable, enriching them, and forget everybody else. F the rest of y'all. Stella McCartney and Ellen MacArthur call for fashion sustainability. And when I had my consignment shop, I was kind of like, it just kind of shifted everything. But this is saying that part of the article, one was talking about the fact that we use so many synthetic fibers, and the synthetic fibers are getting into our food sources now because they get into the oceans, animals eat them, you know, they're like part of our ecosystem, and how that's not really healthy, how people are buying more clothes and wearing less of them. And I know with my consignment shop, it's like people sure would have, you know, a gazillion bags of stuff with tags on it that they never wore, that, you know, and it's just kind of like just wasteful and extravagance and consumerism for no reason, really. I mean, I don't know what we're trying to prove and to who. I know that I have to get out of the mindset, because it'll be like, oh my God, there's a sale, or it's on sale, or it's so cheap. And I have to ask myself, well, do I need it? Why am I going to this store? Am I looking for something? What in particular am I looking for? It's like I have to talk to myself. I have to talk myself down, because the mindset is such that, oh, if it's on sale and it's cheap, just buy it. And it's like, buy it for what? You know, we got so much junk. So anyway, I was happy to see that. Argentina missing sub. Water entered snorkel causing short circuit. So they still haven't found it. And I'm kind of like, I think it's 44 people on board. It was 44 people on board. Was 43 men, 1 woman. And I think I saw that there are 4,000 people who are looking for the submarine from throughout the world, different, like the United States, Russia, Argentina, you know, are looking for. And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't think it would be that difficult to locate a submarine. When I first heard the story, I'm like, oh, Russia or somebody got that submarine. I don't know why. Because that's just like that plane that went missing a few years ago. And it's like they couldn't seem to find it. And I'm like, well, where did it go? Who has the plane? I think somebody got it. And they like just air traffic controller, shut this stuff off here, here, here. They got a path. And then, I don't know. Like, that's like a conspiracy. I got a conspiracy theory mindset, huh? But I'm like, how you lose a plane? How is a submarine missing? And they more or less know where they last heard it. So it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's harder to search in the ocean than I think. That's probably what it is, right? Shell accused of abuses in Nigeria's Ogoniland. So that's a part of Nigeria, and I guess that Shell, which is the company that, Shell is the company that we boycotted during the whole South African thing many years ago. I still don't like to shop at Shell, because it was like they were like the last one. It seemed like they were the last ones to divest from South Africa, or maybe they just got the most attention as being most heavily divested or invested in South Africa. So when the whole South African thing and apartheid thing was like a big political thing, it was like, we're boycotting Shell. And I never got, to this day, if I don't go to no Shell to get gas. If I've gotten gas from a Shell gas station in the last 10, 20 years, it's been twice, maybe. Probably once, because I was desperate. And I feel the same way about BP. I was down south when there was the oil spill in the Gulf and British Petroleum was involved with it. And I was not a fan of BP after that. I never heard people talking about it. But what I did notice is that a lot of the gas stations that had been BP's became other gas stations. They changed their name. I bet you the ownership didn't change or the source of the oil. But, you know, because that's how these corporations work, you know. You think you're doing something, but they still getting your money. It appears that way. It appears that they stay winning, but they don't stay winning. Good stays winning. God stays winning. So Shell is accused of being abusive in Nigeria. And Nigeria is a big place where oil is collected and refined. I think I've heard that there, like a lot of these rich Africans that we hear about on these reality shows, a lot of them are connected with the oil industry in Nigeria, I think in particular, but other parts of West Africa or other, you know, oil is a big thing. So Shell is out here, you know, being a corporation. Washington Post uncovers fake Roy Moore story using Sting. So they sent a woman in and she's like, oh, when I was a teenager, Roy Moore got me pregnant and he took me, I lived in Alabama at that time, and he took me to Mississippi to get an abortion. And so the journalist doing what journalists should do, did some research, and the story didn't add up. So they didn't run the story. And they started investigating the person who came to them with the story. And they're like, something ain't right with this. So they uncovered that this person works for, I can't remember what the name of the company is, but the company is like, we're going to expose all the liberal lies. So they try to plant fake stories. So, you know, yay for investigative journalists. And they did the same thing, or someone did the same thing a few months ago with the woman, the white gay woman who's on MSNBC with the short hair. She sits and she talks during her show. Rachel Maddow. They gave her some documents, or got her some documents, and she's like, these documents appear to be fake because of this and this. We haven't been able to validate their authenticity. It's like they were trying to set her up to then be like, lies. That's all you do is lie. Y'all stay lying. So, you know, I've been more and more interested in journalism, particularly investigative journalism. I saw an article about the muckraker, the Motor City muckraker, and it was really interesting to me, and it was kind of sad because it seems kind of like, you know, these corporations and these companies are after him because of what he's exposed and what he wants to, you know, say. Even he lost his job for trying to do journalism for the people. And, you know, it's like they seem like they're struggling, but God is on his side, and God is on the side of people who are doing good. Let's affirm that. Let's believe that. Let's see that. Let's make that true. Easing of marijuana laws will still create more black targets. It's sort of like if you don't get to the source of the issue, and then you can keep, you know, you can like be like, oh, you got a headache? Well, take this aspirin, but you're not really getting to the source of it. So you can change all the laws you want. It's all different kinds of things that you can do in this country and in this world. But until we get to the root of imperialism, colonialism, racism, sexism, or the fact that the system is set up for and by, in many ways, rich white men with property and power, it's just going to morph and continue to do what it's designed to do. It's designed to big up rich white men with property and power. So until you get to the root of that issue, hierarchy, all of this other stuff, you're going to have the same thing. It's just going to morph and change. Like, oh, slavery is over, but it morphs and changes into the prison industrial complex. I was watching a little piece of a story today where on the doctors, I think it was, they were talking about this program where people can get rehabilitation instead of going to jail. Now, jail was supposed to be rehabilitation, but instead of going to jail, they can get rehabilitation by working on these farms. And the farms are these corporations. So it's like just another way that these big, like, plantations were big farms and big corporations. It's just another way that these corporations are morphing and evolving to get free labor, cheap labor. Because one of the other doctors was like, well, that's not, because a black woman was like, well, it's the same thing with prisons. And the white male doctor was like, well, let's not conflate it. This is how I heard him. He didn't, this isn't a quote, but let's not conflate it, because those are prisoners, because we've criminalized. You know, if you say someone is a prisoner, then you can do anything you want to them. When someone is a slave, you can do whatever you want with them. But, you know, so it's okay to dog out prisoners. It's okay to steal the labor of prisoners. It's okay to feed prisoners shitty food. It's okay that prisoners are enslaved because they're prisoners. They're criminals, which is some bull. More and more I'm realizing that that's propaganda. I had bought into the propaganda about prisoners, and I don't buy into that anymore. Oh, it's okay because they were smoking marijuana. No, it's not okay. So now you change it. So, oh, it's legal to smoke marijuana, but still more and more black and brown people are getting arrested for smoking marijuana, even though it's more and more legal. But it's illegal for us because we black and brown, and because y'all want to get us locked up and steal our labor, rich white men with property and power. And Kenya election, Kenyatta vows to overcome divisions. So this whole election in Kenya and throughout the world, these elections are something. It was like the person who got elected got 98% of the vote, I believe, but only 36 or 46% of people voted, or maybe 28% of people voted. I can't remember. But the person who was the other person who was running, they having their inauguration next week. They say that they won. So it's kind of like, what in the world is going throughout this? Detroit's vacant lots find new life from a surprising source, bees. So they, having honeybee farms and stuff. That's good. Or not farms, but colonies. They trying to encourage bees to, hey Bella, is she some Bella Ruski? And a Bella sweet. That's my sweet right there. India's Supreme Court intervenes in love jihad case. Now, I think this is a case where this is a situation where in India, some of the people who are not Muslims but are Hindu are saying that the Muslims are doing something to make Hindu women fall in love with them, or to take Hindu women from being Hindus and turn them into Muslims, like it's love jihad. So, yeah. And like it's a big thing. Evergreen College employee who called for anti-racist day of absence resigns amid campus turmoil. So they have this thing every year on the campus where the black and brown people go away. It's called a day of absence. And I don't know if they based it on Douglas Turner Ward's play. One of my favorite plays in the whole wide world that I did when I was a child in high school for the Summer Youth Employment Program, and when I was employed as an actor. Douglas Turner Ward, Day of Absence, where the black people went away and the white people were like, isn't something weird? And then eventually they realized, where are the Negroes? Stuff ain't getting done anyway. So I never heard of a day of absence. I never heard of Evergreen College. Is it in Evergreen, Alabama? I got family in Evergreen, Alabama. I skimmed the article. I read the article. But people were upset. Because I can't remember what the issue was. Maybe she says she wants the white people to stay on campus or the white people to go off campus. I can't remember. But some people were like, you're racist, reverse racism or whatever. Black Mirror trailers preview episodes. Leave out release date. It's like they're teasing the people. That's what the article said. When I saw the headline, I was like, oh, they don't know how to put out the ad. They don't forgot the release date. But they doing it on purpose to get us all excited. Black Mirror's coming back. Black Mirror's coming back. We love Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror? Do you love? I love Black. I like it. It's kind of like a Black Mirror is kind of like a Twilight Zone. So the stories don't connect. If you watch a whole season, every episode is freestanding, but they all kind of have to do with like technology going out of control in a way, or the ways in which our world has kind of, it kind of projects, takes things that are happening in our society and projects them big, or, to their extreme, or to another level. Twitter, suspension of New York Times account was human error. So I wonder if someone suspended the New York Times account, like, oh, y'all gonna suspend Trump's account? Well, we gonna suspend the New York Times account. Human error. The other one was human error. But somebody said that, I think when I started scanning, that's what I thought when I read the headline, but I think when I started skimming the article, that it was basically like, how these media corporations, these social media corporations like Twitter and Facebook, their policies support rich white men with property and power. So like if you say something like, I don't like white men, then they'll suspend your account. But if you say kill all the little black children, they won't suspend your account. It's like it's built into their algorithms. Somehow that's how the system kind of seems to work. Somehow it's just a mystery how this happened in this society, that the most vulnerable are at the bottom of the food chain and the bottom of the hierarchy, and the system protects the ones at the top of the hierarchy. I don't know why. It's a mystery, but that's what it was a case of, that the New York Times it was some article they had done sort of exposing, some, how people are vulnerable, and Twitter was like, oh, hell no, you can't be talking about that, and shut down the account. But I think it was their algorithm. I can't remember. Denver Cafe jokes it's happily gentrifying the neighborhood, but the locals aren't laughing. Gentrification ain't funny. White House reportedly considering personal phone ban for staff. Rohingya refugees forced into sex work. So these people who were living in Burma are Muslims, and now they've gone over maybe to Pakistan. I can't remember where they went, but there was basically like an ethnic cleansing type thing, it seems, where they were killing up a whole bunch of Muslims in Burma, and so a lot of people escaped to another place. Most of them escaped to another place, and now in this place, a lot of the young women are being forced to be sex slaves. Sometimes it seems like things go from bad to worse, but again, we're going to affirm that they do not go from bad to worse. We're going to affirm that good is good, and despite all appearances, God stays winning and good stays winning, right? That's what we going to affirm, y'all. We ain't going to let this stuff drag us down, because we not going to let this stuff drag us down. Protesters call for charges against officer who killed teen. Bali volcano, Mount Agung ash shuts airport for second day. So there's a volcano in Bali, and for a couple weeks, a month, it's been like kind of like having some activity. So people were living in shelters. They had evacuated certain areas, and I guess now it started, going to the next level. I still don't think that it has erupted. I think it's still pre-eruption, but there's ash, kind of, and it's shutting down the airport. So like in one shot, I saw people were like walking down the street with umbrellas, and like ash was coming down. Syria, Russian airstrikes kill dozens of civilians. Scientists warn Lake Victoria is dying. I know some people who are going to South Africa at the beginning of next year, and then some people are going on to Lake Victoria. Mount Agung, Bali volcano alert raised to highest level. Pope in Myanmar, Francis faces tricky trip. So he's in Myanmar, but I don't think he can refer to the Muslim people who got ran out of the country as Rohingya. Politically, it's like, diplomatically, I guess there's something going on where you can't call a thing, or certain things you're not supposed to say or whatever. Julio Oscar Mecheso dies. Character actor was 62. So that's what I got. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch, to listen to Not News. I'm Angela again. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Today is the best day ever. You're the greatest. You're number one. Thank you for subscribing, liking, being here, being you, being fabulous, sharing, and being fabulous you. Be you. Beautiful. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace. Be you. Be